A young hipster has unwanted house guests when E.T. invades her home. She's not breaking out the tea and bickies. She's gonna go full-blown Ellen Ripley on their asses, spending the night fighting off these home-invading dickheads. It's a close encounter of the purge kind in No One Will Save You. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. That's right, No One Will Save You, here directed by Brian Duffield. He's known for directing a feature film of a coming-of-age love story called Spontaneous, and also known for being the writer of such films as Insurgent, Jane Got a Gun, and Underwater, just to name a few. We meet our protagonist, Bryn. She's a quiet hipster who lives in her deceased mother's mansion-esque house here in the country, building little model houses of her own, proving that even girls can be nerds. She's shunned by the whole town folk that she lives in because of a terrible mistake from a dark past. I wonder if we'll find out what this dark secret is. Late in the night, she's woken up to all the electricity in her house going absolutely ballistic. Lights are flashing, noise going off everywhere, making her electricity bill skyrocket. But lucky Dad's not around to see all the lights on in the house because he would have none of it! Then she discovers she has an unwanted house guest creeping around her hallways, here making a stop-off before he goes past the Hess family farm. And it turns out to be...
a fucking alien.
This extraterrestrial obviously watched the film Mac and Me, thinking that he'd be welcomed with open arms with McDonald's and a can of Coke. But Bryn's having none of it! She creeps around the house silently, trying to avoid this close encounter of the unnerved kind. This film is pure nightmare fuel. It absolutely nails the feeling of those dreams where you're creeping around trying to avoid a scary creature, trying to be as silent as possible. Think of this film as a feature-length version of The War of the Worlds, you know, the basement scene mixed with Don't Breathe. The atmosphere in this film is absolutely perfect, keeping you on the edge of your seat, being absolutely super tense. But before she can break out the hot chocolate and the marshmallows, she goes full-blown Dennis Hopper in the opening scene of Speed on this alien. The end! No, only kidding. It turns out this extraterrestrial has invited the rest of his friends around, and the game of cat and ratatouille continues. I mean, it's bad enough that this Area 51 anorexic, bug-eyed looking dickhead come around unannounced. He's got to invite his homies around too? It's just rude. Bryn then spends the night outrunning these
fucking alien
and outsmarting them, getting more and more disheveled as the night goes on. Any human she comes in contact with happens to be possessed by an off-world parasite, making the film go full-blown invasion of the body snatchers. Not a single word of audible dialogue is spoken throughout the film, well, that I could tell, doing what Disney and Marvel do absolutely horribly by showing don't tell. Our protagonist Bryn here, played by Caitlin Dever, is magnificent. This film is not an easy role to do. I know there's no dialogue. You think, well, there you go, you don't have to learn any lines. But as an acting exercise, you know, try and run around in this nightmarish scenario without blurting out a word here and there. And she's got to convey fear throughout the whole bloody movie. And she does this very well and immensely believable. The look of this film is absolutely magnificent too. The cinematographer here, Aaron Morton. The special effects are pretty damn good here too. I mean, you can tell it's kind of a low-budget film, but they do the clever thing by keeping most things in shadow. The film definitely has an unidentified timeline. You know, possibly being based in the 90s or current day, it's not specified. It has a really old school feel, you know, they have nothing but landline phones, there's no social media or cell phones that I could see. You know, people just living in the bloody moment, defending themselves from an alien invasion like the old days. This whole film felt like a Black Mirror episode. I'd say the film is kind of like Signs meets A Quiet Place and the All Hallows Eve short film section, The Alien. The climax of this film is, however, very surreal and dreamlike. It may turn some people off, you know, not having a conventional explosive ending. We of course do discover the horrible mistake Bryn made when she was a young girl that made the whole town shun her, you know, and it's a regret she carries around with her all the time. The ending is very heightened and, like I said, surreal and dreamlike, which makes you think, is it actually real? I think yes and no, in a way. This may be spoiler territory, so ye be warned, spoiler alert! This ending is what I think to be an experiment, or an observation by the aliens, if you will. They don't end up on Earth, they end up somewhere else in the galaxy, and all the survivors somewhat becoming a human zoo, or an alien ant farm, you might say. You've been hit by, you've
been struck by a fucking alien.
The people who are living off-world in this experiment or observation are obviously the possessed kind, and they're living their life in this 50s musical utopia. And considering current day, that's not so bloody bad. This could also possibly be a reference to heaven, having the aliens as angels in a way, bringing the rapture to Earth and taking away the worthy or chosen, or in Bryn's case, the repenting, and then taking them off to a better place, i.e. heaven. Or they could be all plugged into the Matrix, who bloody knows. But I absolutely love this film. This is like a top-notch thriller. It had heaps of atmosphere, super creepy, incredibly tense, icky creatures, and a great performance by our lead. Highly recommend this film. The trailer got me when I saw it, and it definitely bloody delivered. Guys, that's my review of No One Will Save You. Write down if you've seen it, if you're excited about it. But more importantly, what is your favourite alien invasion film? And of course, if you've made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because I give it an episode weekly, and I'll see you back here next week for the next review. Until then, stay spooky, kids.